My neighbor stole my internet, so I bricked his smart fridge. It started subtly. Netflix buffering during peak hours, online games lagging at crucial moments, work calls dropping at the worst possible times. I'm a software engineer, work from home, so a stable internet connection isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. At first, I chalked it up to the usual ISP woes. Called them, went through the automated troubleshooting steps, the whole 9 yards. Nothing. Sarah, my girlfriend, kept telling me I was being paranoid. Maybe everyone's just streaming more, she'd say, rolling her eyes. Get over it, Mark. Easy for her to say, she designs website layouts, doesn't rely on constant data transfer like I do. But my gut feeling wouldn't let it go. I ran speed tests religiously, documenting the abysmal results. Download speeds that should have been consistently over 100 Mbps were dipping below 10. Something was definitely wrong. So, I did what any self-respecting nerd would do. I dove into my router's admin panel. Scrolled through the connected devices, filtering by MAC address, looking for anything unfamiliar. And there it was. A device innocuously named Samsung Fridge. A fridge on my Wi-Fi. My blood started to simmer. I pride myself on my network security. I use strong passwords, WPA3 encryption, the whole shebang. How the hell did a fridge get on my network? I did a quick IP lookup on the device. The manufacturer was consistent with it being a Samsung smart fridge. I checked the IP address against my neighbors and narrowed the culprit down to one house, Darren next door. Darren. Ugh. Picture the guy who wears affliction shirts well into his 40s, brags about knowing the best deals on everything, which are usually just stolen goods or pyramid schemes, and talks about his hustle while driving a leased BMW. I decided to confront him directly. I walked over, knocked on his door, and he answered with that smarmy grin of his. Hey Mark, what's up? Darren, I need to ask you something about my internet. I started, trying to keep my voice even. He raised an eyebrow. Your internet? What about it? Well, I've been having some issues, and my router logs show a device connected to my Wi-Fi that I don't recognize. A Samsung smart fridge. His grin faltered for a split second, then returned, wider than before. Oh that? Yeah, that's mine. Pretty cool, huh? Can order groceries and stuff right from the door. My jaw dropped. You're using my Wi-Fi without asking. My internet is a business expense. I can't have it crippled. He shrugged. What's the big deal? You got like unlimited data, right? I was running a little short this month and the fridge needed to download some updates. A little short. Darren, I'm paying for that bandwidth, and it's affecting my work. You need to disconnect it. Now, he scoffed. Come on, man, don't be like that. I really need the fridge to work. You need a fridge that orders groceries. I need a stable internet connection to feed my family. I'm asking you nicely, disconnect it. Nah, I'm good, he said with a dismissive wave of his hand and started to close the door. You won't even notice. That was it. The line was crossed. He wasn't just stealing my Wi-Fi, he was being a smug, entitled jerk about it. That was the day Mark went to war. My first attempt was the obvious one. I changed my Wi-Fi password. Complex, alphanumeric, the works. I even enabled MAC address filtering on my router, only allowing my devices to connect. I thought I had won. The next morning, my internet was back to being glacial. I checked my router. The fridge was back. Darren had somehow bypassed my security. I stormed back over to his house, ready to explode. He answered the door, looking annoyingly pleased with himself. Seriously, Darren, how did you get back on my Wi-Fi? He just smirked. Let's just say I'm pretty good with computers. You should probably thank me for saving you money on cybersecurity services. I bit back a string of expletives. I blocked your MAC address. How did you get around that? MAC spoofing is a thing, buddy. Maybe you should Google it. And now that you mention it, you're the computer guy. Why are you still using MAC address filtering? This isn't the 90s. You should be using an IDS with heuristic scanning. I wanted to punch him. Sarah, thankfully, texted me right then reminding me that physical violence was never the answer. I went back home, defeated but not broken. Sarah met me at the door, a mix of concern and amusement on her face. Okay, mister. Revenge seeker, she said. What's the plan now? You gonna build a Faraday cage around his house? I'm thinking about it, I muttered. But I think I have a better idea, something a little more permanent. I spent the next few hours researching smart fridge security vulnerabilities. It turns out, these things are basically unsecured computers with doors. Manufacturers are so focused on adding features like touchscreens and voice control that they often neglect basic security protocols. I found a known exploit for a specific model of Samsung's smart fridge. It involved sending a corrupted firmware update that would effectively brick the device, rendering it useless. The catch? I needed to know Darren's exact fridge model. I did some creeping when he was taking out his trash and saw the corner of the box. I spent the next hour verifying it was the correct model for the exploit. It was. I set up a separate, isolated network in my basement just for testing the exploit. I didn't want to accidentally fry my own devices. I downloaded the necessary tools and started crafting the malicious firmware update. It was surprisingly easy. It's a scary thought what can be done with a few lines of code. The next day, I waited for Darren to be home. I could hear him through the walls, talking loudly on the phone, probably trying to scam someone out of something. I launched the exploit. My router logs showed the malicious firmware update being successfully transmitted to Darren's fridge. I held my breath. A few minutes later, I heard a loud POP sound coming from Darren's house, followed by a string of curses that would make a sailor blush. I walked to the window and peeked out. Darren was standing in his kitchen, staring at his fridge with a look of utter disbelief on his face. The screen was black. He started banging on the door, yelling at it. He stormed out of his house and marched straight towards my door. I quickly switched off my computer, closed the exploit program, and put on my most innocent face. He pounded on my door. I opened it. "Mark, you son of a, did you do something to my fridge?" he bellowed. I blinked innocently. "Your fridge? What's wrong with it? It's dead, it just went black. I think it exploded or something exploded." "Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. Maybe it just needs to be unplugged and plugged back in," I offered, trying to suppress a smirk. He glared at me, clearly suspecting something. "Don't play dumb with me, Mark. You're the computer guy. You must have done something." "Me? Darren, I wouldn't do anything like that. I'm just a concerned neighbor. Maybe it's a power surge. Have you checked your circuit breaker?" He grumbled something about me being useless and stormed back to his house. I watched from my window as he spent the next several hours on the phone with Samsung tech support. I could hear every word through the thin walls. "Yes, I've tried turning it off and on again." "No, I don't know what a factory reset is. It just went black." "What do you mean it's out of warranty?" "I just bought it last year." His voice grew louder and more frantic with each passing minute. Mrs. Higgins, our elderly neighbor, even poked her head out her door and gave me a disapproving look. She's a sweet old lady, but a little bit nosy. The next few days were glorious. Darren was a complete mess. He blamed everyone for his fridge's demise, from Samsung to the government. He even suspected his own friends and family, questioning them about their hacking skills. He started unplugging all his smart devices, convinced they were all spying on him. I overheard him telling Kevin, his equally clueless buddy, that the government was tracking him through his smart TV. Eventually, he gave up and bought a new non-smart fridge, a basic stainless steel model with none of the fancy bells and whistles. He also, finally, got a new internet plan with much higher bandwidth. My internet speed returned to normal. My work calls stopped dropping. Sarah stopped rolling her eyes. A few weeks later, I was taking out the trash when I saw Darren struggling to carry a heavy box to his recycling bin. It was a Wi-Fi router, a very expensive-looking Wi-Fi router. I decided to rub a little salt in the wound. "Hey, Darren," I said casually. "Getting a new router, good idea. You know, sometimes those older ones can be vulnerable to unauthorized access." He froze, his face turning red. He avoided eye contact and quickly dumped the box in the bin. "Yeah, well, you know, gotta stay up to date," he mumbled before hurrying back inside his house. I almost felt bad for him, almost. A few days after that, I found a small package on my doorstep. No return address. I opened it. Inside was a brand new Wi-Fi router still in its box. Top of the line with all the latest security features. No note, nothing. I knew it was from Darren, a grudging peace offering. A silent acknowledgement that he knew I had one. I chuckled and went inside. I plugged in the new router, setting it up as a dedicated network for my less secure smart appliances. It was a serious upgrade to my network security. I secretly thanked Darren for the free router. He didn't know it, but his attempt to steal my Wi-Fi had inadvertently made my home network more secure than ever. A nice silver lining to an otherwise frustrating situation.